Hi, this is Emmy from Ebb and Flow Creative Co. and today I'm going to be teaching how to make seamless patterns in Procreate. So the first pattern we're going to make is a polka dot pattern similar to this. So the first thing you're going to do is create a new canvas, and you want it to be about 3000 by 3000 pixels with a 300 dpi. Your color profile will depend on what you're doing with it. So if you're going to print it, you want it CMYK. If it's going to be for the internet, it's RGB. So hit create. And you need a square canvas because it's just much easier to create on. So the first thing you're going to do is fill this layer with your background color. And so, let's see, I'm going to try to do colors that will show up well. All right, and your next step is to create a new layer, and you're going to make a circle. So yeah, this is on a new layer. We're going to make sure, okay, yes, we're on the monoline brush. And I like a nice smooth brush most of the time, unless like I'm doing a more complicated pattern with more details. But for this circle, we're gonna go really smooth. And so when you're making a circle, you're gonna draw it and then hold it, and then you can edit the shape and click circle to make a perfect circle. So we're going to deselect it, and we're going to fill it with that color. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the menu and turn on drawing guide, and we're going to edit the drawing guide. So we're going to turn up the grid size all the way, and I like to turn up the opacity and the thickness. And right now the drawing guide is black, but I like to set it to a kind of contrasting color so I can see it better. And click done. So from here you can perfectly align your circle in the center, and you do that, you want it to be set to uniform, and you want your snapping and magnetics turned on, and I like to turn on the distance and velocity all the way. Now, this is going to make pattern making a lot easier if you have these like set to max. A lot less guesswork. All right, so after this, we're going to deselect. It's perfectly in the center. And we are going to group these two layers. And to do that, we can, this one's already selected, and we're going to pull that one to the right to select it also and hit group. Now, we are going to duplicate this group, and we pull it to the left to duplicate it. And we're going to turn off this first layer and condense it down. So from here, we are going to flatten it because it's just easier to work with one layer. Okay, and so why we duplicated it is because we're going to need to go back in later and get that circle, but it also preserves your artwork in case you mess it up. I was playing with it yesterday, and for some reason it just wasn't aligning perfectly. So I was able to delete my flattened layers as many times as I needed, and I still have this layer all intact perfectly in case I need it. And like, this is just a circle, it's not that hard to create, but when you get to more advanced patterns, you're gonna want this. So trust me. All right. So we have our flattened layer. We're going to duplicate it 3 more times. So we need 4 in total. All right. And then we're going to come way down here and create a new layer. I like to drag it all the way to the bottom, and we're just going to put some crazy color in there. All right. And it's in there, even if you can't see it right now. And the reason for this is because it makes it easier to see your layers, and it makes sure that everything's lining up. So you'll see it in a minute. So we're going to turn off these other 3 layers and leave one of them turned on, and we're going to select that one. All right, so then we're going to select it, and we're going to drag it over here in the corner, and it snaps into place. And so you can make sure you can zoom, well, not like that. All right, so you can zoom in and make sure that it's like completely in place. It's not a huge deal if it doesn't line up perfectly though. All right, so we're going to deselect it, and we're going to repeat those steps. Now, if this feels scary to you, you still have that other layer down here that you can do, but you can see what you've already done in this. See how this one has the blue dot in the corner, and those are whole? So there's no way to really get confused about it because you can always see in this little layer panel. And the order of this doesn't matter. You can put them wherever, because wherever you put them is the right place. So we're going to turn this one back, another one on, and we are going to select it and drag it over, and it just snaps right into place. And then same thing with this one. And so what this will create is a polka dot that kind of bounces, rather than if you were to just put a dot in the center, it would be just a row of dots. And this is a little more of a bouncy traditional polka dot, I would say. All right, so this one is made, and you can see it's all in there. So now we're going to go into that first group. We're going to duplicate that circle, and we're going to drag it to the top. And you can see it's a perfect pattern. So if we want to test this, it's really easy to test. So we can group all these. And once again, I'm saving those, and I'm going to duplicate them, and we're going to flatten this. There are other ways to do this, like in everything, but this is how I do it. So we're going to duplicate this 3 more times, like before. And it's always easier to turn off the other layers just so you can see what you're doing. All right, so this time we will be shrinking them down. So before we do that, let's all right. And if you have on snapping, it should just snap into place. Really simple. All right, and then from there, you can turn off the drawing guide and go ahead and zoom in, and you can see there's no weird marks or anything. It's a perfect pattern. All right, and that's how you make a polka dot pattern.